something that I don't think is the right fit, it generally is not.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say now there are two things I look for, like in general. I look for good energy and drive.
Okay.
I need people that are like super driven, excited, brand builders and have great energy. I care about those two things way more than industry experience. That was another learning for me. I think because it came in as an outsider, I thought, okay, well, I need people who really understand it, who have been in longer and things. And now I would take less experience
Hmm.
and more just like passion for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I'm curious if
and
you
I
don't
think,
mind,
oh, yes,
what, so like for folks that might be listening out there that maybe they're, entrepreneur again, like they're maybe in like similar roles to yourself, right? Where they've got maybe a couple of hires under their belt, but if you are either looking at somebody's resume or you are like in an interview with somebody, I mean, what signals or what things are you looking for that energy and for that drive and passion?
yeah, it always starts with first like seeming like they're very excited about the brand.
Yeah.
And I also look first and foremost like just like we talked about me doing a lot of research, did they research?
Yep.
Anyone I talk to and like, so tell me, and like tell me about it and why you started an expression. Like, there's so much information out there. I'm on your podcast. I've been on lots of podcasts. There's lots of interviews. Like, they can find that out really easily. Like,
Hmm.
come after you've done that research, so I could see that you've done it and you're excited to know about the brand first. So those are always two things. And I just think you can tell when someone has that like mentality
Yes.
of I'm excited to build and grow. I see potential. I see this. And you can also tell when someone's kind of like disgruntled because they've been like, oh my gosh, this industry is like, pounded me down enough. It's so
Yep.
hard and whatever. And those are like my key signs. Like, okay, that's not going to be the energy. When you're a small team, that's what I tell any entrepreneur, right? If you only have a few hires in a small team, every single person matters so much. And there's so
Yes.
much like interaction that I can't have that kind of negative energy
Hmm.
around me. Like you get knocked down like, like it's like a game of whack-a-mole, like a ton, so many times every day that you need at least your team to be like positive and energized and excited.
Hmm.
So that's something really, and I just think you could tell that from talking to people. I mean, I can tell right away. I can tell if it's the right, fit and like right energy for me the
Hmm.
minute I get on. And I think it's really important that if it's not face to face in person, it has to be on Zoom and I have to see them.
Yep.
I can't imagine that I would hire anybody who was off camera and doing like a phone, interview or discussion with me. Like, I can't tell. I need to, see what they're like, their body language, everything.
Yeah.
And, the reason I think hiring consultants and 1099s to start out as opposed to a lot of full-time hires,
Hmm.
it allows small brands to learn and to pivot really quickly.
Yes.
I think that's essential. People say that like, hire slow, fire fast. And it really is the truth. It's a huge, I'm someone who's very loyal. I stick with the same people forever. I've had the same hair person for like a million years.
Yep.
I like everything. So I don't like that change, but has been a very key learning that it's not working and it doesn't seem like right. Like you have to move on quickly. I've been able to do that and it's easier to do with like an agency model
Hmm.
than if someone was like your full-time person.
Yeah, 100%. When I feel like it's really easy to overlook that, especially like early on, like when you're entrepreneur, like you're trying to find like, hey, I hate the sales side of it or hate the social media side of it, and I want to hire somebody to take this off of my plate. Having somebody that's 1099, particularly if they're used to that 1099 role, they are they're going to accept it's like, hey, like this isn't working out. They're going to understand that, and like they're used to like, people pivoting really, really quick. I mean, that's a fantastic tip. I'm curious though, because as we all know, when you're starting a business, there's, I mean, tons and tons and tons of challenges, right? And especially, I would think, in an industry that's dominated by just these huge, huge companies. So, what have been some of the biggest hurdles that you've had to deal with, particularly early on in building your brand?
Yes. And that is something, that's a very important part of kind of like in this industry where you
Mm.
have like the main players. Like if you look at the um who like dominates the market. It's like 70% of the tequila market. It's like dominated by like three major players, right? And
Yeah.
it's very significant.
Yeah.
Um, on the other hand, there's a lot of room for these smaller brands because even that other 30% is a very very big market in tequila because it's a huge market. So I think there's an opportunity to bring more perspectives and like some smaller brands, and people are getting more and more interested in better quality or craft or something differentiated and to for trial and just to learn and having some storytelling. So for us, like
Yes.
the biggest thing is, right, our brand is about storytelling. Like if you're just comparing and looking at the tequila shelves and someone else could be, less expensive, a known celebrity brand, right?
Yep.
So for us to stand out, there has to be like the storytelling piece about it. And um getting that. How do we tell that story? How do we get it
Yeah.
across enough people?
Yep.
How they hear about it? So, right, huge challenge for like challenger brand is that we don't have the same kind of